If you're a leader and you're not addressing today's workplace uncertainty with your team, you are making a huge mistake. Hi, my name is LaVada English, and on this channel, we talk about fixing toxic teams and all the things to make you a better leader. Today, we're talking about communicating change in uncertain times. And like I said, if you aren't doing that, you're making a big mistake. So let me walk you through some of the things that'll help you to understand when you should be communicating with your team, why you should be communicating with your team, and what dangers you're facing if you're not communicating with them during uncertain times. Times like today, where we're all wondering what in the world could happen next. Federal funding is on the chopping block. Massive programs that support everything from public health to education to workforce development are being questioned, reduced, or delayed. And you know what that does to a leader? It traps you between pressure and silence. You feel responsible for the goals, the vision, and the team, but you're scared. And here's the truth. According to Harvard Business Review, leaders are expected to be the anchor and the sail, the calm and the motion. Your team is looking to you for clarity and assurance. But what happens when you have no answers? Let me tell you what I'm seeing from my clients. Leaders are avoiding real conversations. Some are downplaying real threats, and others speak about the uncertainties only when the team confronts them directly. That avoidance is costing you trust, and it's costing you, the leader, credibility. Let's flip this. What if instead of avoidance, you had a playbook? What if instead of waiting until your team panics, you had a structure for talking about change even when the future feels foggy? That's why I sat down and wrote the guide Leading Through Change. It's not another theoretical leadership book. It's a practical guide built for real world chaos. Inside, I give you clear strategies for addressing uncertainty with your team, step-by-step formulas for how to communicate when you don't have all the answers, words to use, actions to take, and things to absolutely avoid. Most of the leaders that go through our conflict resolution evaluation process are in avoidance. So your current default may be to wait and see. But leadership is not a spectator sport. Your silence is filled in by fears, rumors, and doubts. And you have to speak before the panic speaks for you. Because as the author Brene Brown says, in the absence of communication, people make up their own stories. Let's be real about who you are. You're a leader whose organization may be directly impacted by federal and state funding decisions here in the US. You're trying to keep your organization afloat, keep morale intact, and reassure them while you yourself are discouraged. This is an exhausting task, and it's made harder when it feels like your hands are tied by politics, economics, and bureaucracy. And to quote myself, sometimes the weight of leadership isn't in the work, it's in carrying the unknown. Here's some common mistakes I see time and time again. Downplaying reality. You tell your team everything's going to be okay because naturally you want to protect them. But you're actually eroding trust because they already know everything isn't fine. They can see it right in front of them. Be honest and be human. Mistake number 2 is waiting way too long to talk. By the time you respond, your team has already created their own narrative, and it's usually worse than reality. Here's mistake number 3. Trying to lead without listening. Change doesn't just affect operations. It affects people, emotions, fear, and morale. So here's what I know after 20-something years and working in leadership development and working with people and culture and working with teams, public agencies, nonprofits, corporate organizations. Here's the common thread. People don't need perfect answers. They need presence, and they need empathy, and they need clarity about what you know. And those are the principles I teach in the guide, Leading Through Change. Principles like how to create psychological safety in uncertain moments, what to say in an all-staff meeting when budgets are low, how to keep your leadership presence strong, even when you're uncertain, what not to say if you want to avoid creating panic. So let's talk about the human side of change communication a little more, because that's where trust is built. Let me share a quick story. I worked with a department head who was losing sleep over cutting key positions due to budget cuts. For 3 weeks, he said nothing. Eventually, rumors started to fly. Morale dropped. His team stopped trusting him, not because of the budget, but because of the silence. When we worked together, I coached him through a communication structure. In his next all-staff team meeting, he used that very structure to acknowledge uncertainty, explain what was known, and create a space for dialogue. The result? Many of his staff came to him and said, "Thank you. We just needed to know that you saw it too. Sometimes naming the storm is enough to bring calm. So listen to me, leaders. This is your moment. Not because it's easy, but because it matters. Leading through change is the guide. I put it all in the guide. I put it all there to help you. Everything that I've absorbed from you, everything that I've absorbed from working with my clients, all the things that I've seen firsthand that make the process go wrong, we want to avoid those things. And we want to acknowledge that we're all going through a change. We're all going through a struggle, that we're all human, and that we all need to be heard so that we can get through this together. And I believe we will. I believe you will get your team through this. As a bonus, I put together a guide for you. It's a 3-step guide. What to say when you don't know what to say. Use it as a framework to change the conversation. It's an easy to use map. I'll say it again. Silence is not a strategy, and panic isn't leadership. The book shows you how to lead when the answers are unclear and your people still need you. So grab it today. And don't forget to get your free download in the description box, What to Say When You Don't Know What to Say. Be blessed, be safe, and be good. You got this, and you got your team.